My nerdy seatmate's kiss pulled me out of the closet.
20, young and handsome. Brown-eyed Greek god with a pearly smile. Who is the lucky woman? That's what the college article brief had to say about me in the aftermath of my team winning the Human Cup. If only they knew my lips were pressed against another man's on the back bench of the hockey rink. Now that we were on this topic, I couldn't help but recall what it was all about. Alex, my nerdy seatmate, had been chosen as the representative for the journalism team. I was known for being cold and unapproachable, so sending in my seatmate was a good idea. I didn't hate Alex. In fact, I found him cute. If I was out of the closet, he'd have been my perfect type. But that was a privilege I didn't have. I squirmed in my seat, trying to focus on anything but the alluring curve of his lips. He was my desk mate, but half the time I wasn't around. So, Alex, you're going to ask questions? Alex glanced up from his notes, his dark-rimmed glasses slipping down his nose.
Yeah, I'm trying to find my notes,
he said with a nervous chuckle. Right. So, what's with the recorder? I gestured to the tiny device in his hand, trying to steer the conversation away from my train wreck of social skills.
So your knee injury had you benched last game. How much longer will that continue?
I stilled at the question. My knee injury was a sore spot, literally and figuratively. It all happened so fast during our winning game. Terrence, my teammate, had hopped on my back in celebration of our win, and his weight pushed me down onto the ice, knee first. It hurt like hell, and next thing I was in the therapist's office and benched for the next game. I didn't want to talk about it. Subconsciously, I caressed my knee and smirked at him. Hopefully not too long. Look at you having a full conversation with me today. Alex's cheeks flushed pink, and he stammered out something about being the journalism team's representative. His hands were shaking so badly I half expected the recorder to slip out of his grasp at any moment. And of course it did. As the recorder clattered to the ground, we both lunged for it, our hands colliding in a chaotic tangle of limbs. And then, it happened. Our lips met in a soft, accidental kiss. Time froze. For one electrifying moment, the world disappeared, leaving only the sensation of Alex's lips against mine. It was like a bolt of lightning, unexpected and exhilarating, coursing through every nerve in my body. But just as quickly as it happened, Alex pulled away, his eyes wide with shock.
What the? Why did you... why would you...
he stammered, his words stumbling over each other in a jumbled mess. I blinked, trying to process what had just happened. Why had I kissed him? Did I want to? The thought sent a shiver down my spine, and I leaned in again, my heart pounding in my chest. Before I could close the distance, Alex pushed me away, scrambling to his feet with a look of utter mortification on his face.
Okay, this is confusing,
he muttered, running a hand through his messy hair. I sat there, dumbfounded, as Alex practically bolted from the room, leaving me alone with my thoughts and 1,000 unanswered questions swirling in my head. I couldn't shake the feeling of his lips against mine, the warmth of his touch. As I watched him disappear down the hallway, I couldn't help but wonder, what the hell just happened? I couldn't explain it, but I wanted it to happen again, especially with him. And that was how the college article happened. 2 days later, I kept replaying the kiss in my head for the next 2 days, but the object of my restless fantasies kept evading my presence. Alex bolted out of class before I had the chance to say anything, and he refused to complete his news segment. Today, though, I was determined to catch him. I snuck into the class fully aware of my tardiness. The lecturer gave me a usual glance of disappointment and hissed,
"One more tardy day and you'll be below the 75% requirement for this class."
I flashed him a cheeky smile and hurried to my seat. Understood. My gaze scanned the room for my desk, searching for that mop of blonde hair and those dark-rimmed glasses that haunted my dreams for the past 2 days. And there he was, huddled in the back corner like a scared puppy. I slipped into the seat beside him, causing him to jump like a cat on a hot tin roof. "Hey there, sunshine," I said with a grin, trying to play it cool despite the feelings inside me. Alex's cheeks flushed pink, and he shot me a nervous smile.
Hey, Lucas,
he stammered, his voice cracking like a rookie's hockey stick. The lecturer droned on about mitochondria and cellular respiration, but all I could focus on was the boy sitting beside me. I stole glances at him when I thought he wasn't looking, admiring the way his lips formed words and the way his brow furrowed in concentration. So, Lucas, Alex whispered. About what happened the other day. Yeah, about that, I replied, my heart pounding in my chest like a drummer on speed. I'm sorry if I surprised you. Alex's eyes widened, his gaze meeting mine.
No, it's okay.
He said softly, his voice barely above a whisper.
I just wasn't expecting it, you know? I totally understand that it's a mistake.
I nodded, my throat suddenly dry as the Sahara. Yeah, I know what you mean, but it wasn't...
Mr. Thompson, would you mind coming up here to teach instead of us talking at the same time?
The professor bellowed, slamming his pen on the table for good measure. No, sir. You can do the talking. You're better at it, really. I replied with a forced smile, pulling my head away from Alex. When we were given a break, I turned to Alex. Hey, how about we grab some coffee? I suggested, hoping to prolong our time together. Alex's eyes widened in surprise, but he quickly recovered with a hesitant smile.
Sure, I guess that sounds nice, but why?
Damn, so much work to do. Maybe if he didn't feel the same way at once, I could court him. So Alex, I said, leaning in closer with a playful grin, tell me something about yourself that I don't know. Alex's cheeks flushed pink, but he met my gaze with a determined glint in his eye.
Well, for starters, I'm gay,
he said, pointedly holding my gaze and searching my eyes. I arched an eyebrow in pleasant surprise. Gay, huh? That's... unexpected. Alex chuckled nervously.
Yeah, I guess it is. But it is what it is. I'm confident in my sexuality.
Before I could reply, a familiar voice cut through the air like a knife.
Well, look who it is.
I turned to see Terry, my teammate and self-proclaimed wingman, sauntering over with a smirk on his face. Hey, Terry, I said with a forced smile, trying to ignore the sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. Terry plopped down in the seat opposite us, his grin widening with each passing second. So, what's going on here? Hot date with the nerd? I felt my cheeks flush pink. Terry didn't know anything, so I knew it was a baseless joke, but still my heart beat rapidly. Actually, Terry, Alex here is just showing me the ropes of cells, I replied, my voice dripping with faux confidence. You know, giving me some pointers. Alex's smirk faltered for a moment, but he quickly recovered with a chuckle.
Right, of course. Pointers.
Well, don't let me interrupt, Terry smiled, winking at me as he sauntered off into the crowded cafe. I let out a sigh of relief as Terry disappeared into the crowd, grateful for the rest from his relentless teasing. But as I turned back to Alex, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease creeping up my spine. Sorry about that, I said with a sheepish grin, hoping to smooth over the awkwardness of Terry's interruption. Alex smiled back, his eyes heavy with what looked like disappointment.
It's okay. I'm used to it,
he replied, his voice tinged with a hint of sadness that made my heart ache.
2 days later.
Game day. Another day of sitting on the sidelines watching my teammates chase glory while I nursed my injured knee. The locker room buzzed with excitement as the guys geared up for the match, their laughter echoing off the walls. I tried to focus on strapping on my knee brace, but the conversation swirling around me was too distracting. You see that cheerleader from last game? Man, she was smoking hot. Speaking of hot, did you hear about Jake and Sarah kissing in the rink after practice? The mention of kissing in the rink made me freeze. My mind immediately flashed to Alex, his shy smile and nervous laughter. I shook my head, trying to banish the image from my mind. Focus, Lucas. Focus. But my teammates had other plans, and before I knew it, they were zeroing in on me.
Hey, Lucas, who's the lucky lady this week?
One of them joked, slapping me on the back with a grin. I forced a laugh, trying to play it cool. Oh, you know me. Always keeping my options open. Another teammate chimed in, nudging me with a smirk.
Come on, spill the beans. We won't tell anyone. Except maybe the entire school.
I chuckled nervously, my palms growing sweaty. Sorry, guys, no juicy gossip to share today. But they weren't about to let it go that easily.
Seriously though, Lucas, you've been acting weird lately. Are you sure you don't have a secret girlfriend or something?
I felt the color drain from my face as the weight of their words sank in. Did they suspect something? Could they tell that I wasn't interested in girls at all? Before I could come up with a response, Terry walked up to me with a grin plastered on his face.
Well, 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 if it isn't Mr. Mystery Man himself,
Terry teased, clapping me on the back a little too hard.
What's the deal, Thompson? Got a little secret you're hiding from us?
I gritted my teeth, forcing a tight smile.
Nothing to hide, Terry.
Just trying to focus on the game. Terry raised an eyebrow, his smirk growing wider by the second.
Sure. But you know, I heard a rumor that you've been spending a lot of time with that... What's his name again? Oh, right, the faggot.
My blood boiled at the slur, but I bit my tongue, refusing to give Terry the satisfaction of seeing me lose my cool. His name is Alex Terry. Show some respect. But Terry was too busy laughing at his own joke to notice the tension in the air.
Right, Alex. Well, whatever you're doing with him, Thompson, you might want to rethink it. Wouldn't want anyone getting the wrong idea, now would we?
I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. How could Terry be so clueless? Didn't he realize how much his words hurt? But instead of lashing out, I forced a tight-lipped smile and turned away, my heart heavy with frustration. I couldn't let him see how much his words affected me. I had to stay strong.
Shut your mouth, Terry,
I gritted out.
Hey, I'm speaking for the team. It would be so funny if you turned out to be a fag too. Your spot in the team would be gone, then your scholarship.
Terry cackled, finding humor in his nonsense. I looked around me, at my teammates. None of them said a word. Damn! As I slipped out of the locker room and into the cool night air, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that settled in the pit of my stomach. What if Terry was right? What if my growing feelings for Alex were a mistake? Maybe it was my turn to avoid Alex. Although he was warming up to me a little, it would be in our best interest to avoid him for now.
The next morning,
my plan to avoid Alex hit its first hurdle the next morning when I showed up to the cafeteria for lunch. My rehab with a specialist took up my morning periods. I scoped the room for signs of Alex as I grabbed a tray. In a clumsy moment, I lost my footing and sent my whole tray flying in a scene of total mayhem. Next thing I know, I'm dripping in sauce and mash from head to toe. I looked like a joke right now, no doubt. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I felt a gentle hand on my shoulder and looked up to see Alex standing there.
Lucas, are you okay?
He asked. I opened my mouth to reply, but all that came out was a strangled noise that sounded suspiciously like a dying seal. Can it get any worse? Alex chuckled, his laughter echoing through the cafeteria.
Here, let me help you with that,
he said, reaching for a nearby napkin and dabbing at the mess on my shirt with surprising tenderness. But instead of feeling grateful, I felt a surge of panic rising in my chest. I couldn't let Alex get too close. Not when the rumors were already swirling around us like a tornado. Thanks, but I've got it, I muttered, pushing his hand away with more force than intended. Alex's smile faltered for a moment, his eyes widening in surprise.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to overstep.
I winced, the guilt settling in the pit of my stomach like a lead weight. No, I'm the one who should be sorry. I didn't mean to snap at you like that. Alex shrugged, his expression guarded.
It's fine, I get it. You're probably embarrassed enough as it is.
I opened my mouth to protest, but before I could say anything, Alex turned on his heel and marched out of the cafeteria, leaving me standing there alone in a puddle of gravy and regret. With a heavy sigh and a wave to my team members, I gathered up what was left of my dignity and made my way out of the cafeteria, determined to make things right with Alex before it was too late. I found him sitting outside on a bench, his shoulders slumped and his eyes red-rimmed from crying. My heart twisted in my chest at the sight of him, and I cursed myself for being such an idiot. Alex, I'm so sorry, I blurted out, my words trembling over each other in a frantic rush. I didn't mean to push you away back there. I was just... I don't know, scared, I guess. Alex looked up at me. Scared of what? I hesitated, unsure of how to put my feelings into words. Scared of everything, I guess. Scared of what people will think. Scared of what might happen if they find out. Alex's brow furrowed in confusion.
Find out what?
I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was about to come. That I'm gay. Alex's eyes widened in shock, his mouth forming a perfect O of surprise.
You're gay?
I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest like a drum. Yeah, I am. And I guess I've been trying to hide it for so long that I forgot what it feels like to just be myself. Alex stared at me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. And then, to my utter disbelief, he burst out laughing. I blinked in confusion, my brain struggling to process what was happening. What's so funny? Alex shook his head.
I'm sorry. It's just, I thought I was the one who ruined your life by making you gay.
I frowned, my confusion growing by the second. What do you mean? Alex took a deep breath.
After our kiss the other day, I couldn't stop thinking about how I must have passed gay to you like some kind of contagious disease. But now that I know that you're actually gay, I guess that theory doesn't hold up.
I couldn't help but chuckle at his logic, despite the seriousness of the situation. So, what you're saying is, you didn't ruin my life at all, I teased, nudging him playfully with my elbow. Alex rolled his eyes, but there was a sparkle of mischief in them that hadn't been there before.
Nope, I guess not. But hey, if you ever need someone to blame for your sudden burst of gayness, you know where to find me.
I grinned, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Thanks, Alex. So, we're cool? Alex smiled back, his eyes shining with a warmth that sent shivers down my spine.
We have always been cool.
Not in that sense. I want to try things with you, I whispered. Alex shot up to his feet.
You pervert!
I facepalmed. Not that type of thing, not at all. We both froze again. I wish I could duct tape my mouth shut. Definitely. I would love to try everything with Alex, but at his own pace, of course. I tried to salvage the situation. Look, I'm really sorry. What I meant to say is, I like you. And I just want us to see where things go.
So, we're not dating?
Not yet. I can't make it public for now, I explained, hoping he'd be able to pick out my hints. Instead, he shrugged. His every gesture reeked of his usual sunshine attitude.
That's fine too.
And about the kiss, I smiled, leaning in. He matched my pace and closed the distance between our lips in a heartbeat. His mouth tasted like sweet potatoes and strawberries.
1 week later.
The next week passed slowly. I found myself restless looking for a date spot. It couldn't be just any place. It had to meet several conditions, such as being far from the school area and being the last option for high school students. I was able to get the backspace of an outdoor restaurant where my Uncle Caesar worked. My excitement kept building. When night finally descended, I was fully prepared. Dressed in a crisp shirt and neatly pressed slacks, I chuckled at the thought of my mother's reaction if she saw me in this state, captivated by this wonderful man. Alex was a vision in a white tee and denim overalls? I gaped at the sight of him gaping at the sight of the restaurant.
I asked you to dress nice, but I did. How was I supposed to know you'd book such a nice place?
He snapped, smoothing out the non-existent wrinkles on his thigh. I stifled a chuckle at how cute he looked. With a shrug, I pulled my suit jacket off and placed it on his shoulders. I used it as leverage to pull him into me. It's okay, you look good either way. Head barely reaching my shoulders, Alex looked up at me, chin against my chest. The fairy lights above us reflected in his brown pupils. His eyes lit up as he took it all in.
Oh, this is amazing.
Please tell me you love it, I said, my words jumbling with excitement. He grinned.
Well, you're supposed to wait for the compliment, not beg for it. But it's nice. I do love it.
Now it was my turn to smile. After noticing our easy conversation, a blonde waiter appeared.
Welcome to Chez L'Oreal. What can I get you started with?
Alex tapped his manicured fingers gently against the table and flashed the waiter a charming smile.
What's the main? There's the steak au poivre and the French lentil salad with goat cheese,
the waiter stammered, flushing red at the ears. I cleared my throat loudly, directing his attention back to me. Can you give us a minute?
Of course, sir. I'll be with you in a moment.
The waiter left in a hurry, still flushed, and Alex turned to me skeptically.
What the hell is in a steak au poivre?
I straightened up in my seat, spreading my legs apart for comfort. To be honest, I have no idea either. We both cracked up and I held his hand in mine. He finally met my eyes, his vulnerability making him even more enchanting.
You're really pretty when you laugh.
I grinned, a glimmer of mischief in my eyes. How many laughs will be able to enchant you into giving me a kiss? Alex let out a chuckle, and that's all it took to break down the final structure of his walls. Just one. Only one. The waiter arrived, delivering a plate of sizzling fajitas to our table.
From the chef.
Dinner was wonderful, and the ride back home in the Uber was silent, with both of us lost in our own thoughts. At his dormitory, I came out to hold his door open. Watch your step,
I should be the one telling you that. How's your knee?
Alex asked with a worried frown. I shook it back and forth as proof. Mostly fine. I'll be playing against Gilmore next week. I walked Alex up to the door, the gravel crunching beneath our feet. He leaned in and placed a soft kiss on my cheek, sending my heart into a frenzy.
Thank you for tonight, Lucas. It was unexpected.
Was unexpected a good thing or a bad thing? You're welcome. Would you love to go on another one? He hesitated for a while.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to go on another date with you.
Unexpected was a good thing after all.
4 days later.
Let's go Tigers!
The deep voice of the commentator outside spilled into the hall. It was Friday, or game day, call it what you will. Finally, I could play again. I bounced down to the locker room, humming a tune underneath my breath. Hey guys, I chirped, pulling my gear on. It took a few minutes to notice the odd silence in the locker room. I looked around, meeting weird gazes from the circle of huddled players. They were all huddled around Terry, who had his phone out. Why are you looking at me weird? I joined the huddle and took a glance at Terry's screen. On Terry's screen was a picture of me kissing Alex in front of his dorm yesterday. How did this get here?
Let's go Tigers!
The commentator's voice seeped in again, along with loud screams from the excited crowd. My mind was foggy. None of the players asked me any questions. They pulled on their gear and snapped their helmets in place. Terry scowled and made a kissing noise as he passed by me. I clenched my fists and held back.
Terry, gear up. Lucas, sit this one out.
The coach hollered from the entrance. My stomach twisted. I didn't have any words. I knew this would happen, but experiencing it was a whole new level. Terry played in my spot again. 3 games with a substitute said a lot. I was replaceable. To confirm my greatest fear, the team won. From the smug smile on Terry's face, it was obvious that he had achieved what he wanted. The coach and student advisor invited me for a talk immediately after the match.
Your scholarship is at risk. We already planned to have this talk with you. We're not a pro team, and an injured player is a major liability.
The part advisor said calmly. He didn't stutter. The heater was on in the room, but chills ran down my spine. I glanced at my coach for support, but I saw none. I had to plead my case.
Sir, with all due respect, I'm a valuable asset to the team even when I'm injured. Check my stats. No one said you weren't, Thompson. But are you worth a scholarship?
Coach Kobe interjected.
Also,
The advisor continued, unsure of his next words.
I received some shocking news about your escapades with a male student.
I stilled, feeling a dull throb in my knee. And
Bloody hell, Thompson, that changes everything!
my coach bellowed, almost jumping out of his seat.
Who wants to see a gay man skating on ice? It ruins the image. Are you even the guy in the relationship? Besides, the other boys won't be comfortable.
I bristled at his insensitive question. I feared this scenario from the very day I received my admission letter. Sports scholarships were tricky. Up to my parents' community college would have to do. But I needed traction to kickstart my career in the big leagues. I took in calming breaths. So, what's your decision?
You've been cut from the team.
Coach decided, voice heavy with prejudice. Tell me the truth. I stood up, looking both men in the eye. If those pictures never leaked, would I still be on the team? The silence that followed was loud. I slammed the door shut on my way out. To hell with their rules. I had nothing to lose again. Despite the sadness in my heart, I felt free. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. I ran towards the rink. There was still loud chatter from the fans. I burst through the metal doors that led the players onto the rink. With both hands over my eyes, I closed out the shadows as I searched for my boyfriend in the crowd. I met his worried gaze in no time. I broke into a sprint toward the seats. Alex's eyes widened in shock. He knew what I was about to do. I skidded to a halt by the partition and called out, come here. He hid his face, cheeks blushing fiercely. His fingers were knitted in a nervous tangle. I called out again. Alex, please come to me. Begrudgingly, Alex shuffled over.
What do you think you're doing?
I swallowed the rest of his words in a kiss. It felt different, worry-free. Life was ironic. Problems never ended, they just rotated. My problems had rotated into even bigger problems, but right now with Alex in my arms, it wasn't all that bad. The crowd burst into a deafening cheer, hooting and hollering as we pulled away from the kiss. Alex looked up at me through hooded eyes. Wow. I know, right? I chuckled, kissing him even harder. Alex wrapped his arms around my waist. The slippery material of my uniform made it difficult to get a grip, but he held on regardless. Why did I have to give up one thing for the other because of my sexual orientation? Straight people did worse without consequences. Hello, everyone. I'm Lucas Thompson, and I play... Pardon me, I used to play center. I was cut from the team barely 5 minutes ago, I continued. The kiss you just saw was the reason I got cut from the team. My cut might be explained with a knee injury I sustained after winning gold a month ago. But I want you guys to know the truth. Do you think it's fair? After about a minute of intelligible murmuring, one voice stood out from the crowd. It was Janie, Terry's mom. I'd seen her at the store with Terry a couple of times, but her words shocked me.
What's wrong with being gay? I'm a proud lesbian and my son is on your team. Want to cut him too?
The woman beside Janie, obviously her partner, also shouted.
I'm gay, an avid fan of the Sun Devils, and also the head of Rights for All, an LGBTQ rights group. Do you want a lawsuit?
Coach Gary looked around helplessly and I could see Terry behind him, eyes down in embarrassment. After hearing the word LGBTQ rights group, Coach Gary skidded over the ice to meet me and slung a hand over my shoulder.
This boy is too hot-headed. Here, we believe in inclusivity. Of course, we wouldn't cut a player based on his sexual orientation. That's none of our business.
I smirked and whispered into his ear. Of course you would. The crowd erupted into cheers and I hugged Alex even tighter. Things would be awkward in the locker room from now on, but that was fine too. Crazy of them to think I'd lust after their bodies.
4 weeks later.
Alex screamed from the sidelines.
You can do this!
Alex roared again. With the puck snug against my stick, I zoomed past the opposing players like a bullet train on ice. The goalpost called out to me. With a flick of my wrist, I sent the puck sailing through the air. A perfect arc that ended with a resounding thud as it found its home in the back of the net. The crowd erupted into cheers, their voices blending into an echo of jubilation. I pumped my fists in the air, basking in the glory of the moment. But then my gaze locked onto Alex, his eyes shining with joy and adoration. Without a second thought, I skated over to the fence separating us, my heart pounding like a jackhammer in my chest. Skating over to the edge of the rink, I locked eyes with Alex, a mischievous glint dancing in his gaze. Without a second thought, I planted a triumphant kiss on his lips, not caring who was watching. Heck, I even caught a few of the opposing team's players giving us a thumbs up. Love knows no bounds, right? After the game, the air was cool and crisp as we strolled along the park's winding path. The cold light of the moon illuminated the university path in front of us. I glanced over at Alex, who was walking beside me, his hands shoved deep into the pockets of his jacket. The faint blush on his cheeks from the chilly breeze made him look even more adorable, if that was possible. So, I began, my voice breaking the comfortable silence. I was thinking, maybe we could try that little cafe downtown for dessert. Alex turned his head, his eyes lighting up with excitement.
The one with the amazing cheesecake? I've been dying to go there.
I chuckled. Yeah, that one. I heard they have a new seasonal flavor, pumpkin spice. His eyes widened and he playfully nudged me with his shoulder.
I'll get fat. Are you trying to make me undesirable?
Is it working? I teased, bumping him back gently. He laughed, the sound like music to my ears.
Definitely. I can't say no to cheesecake.
We continued our walk, the conversation flowing easily between us. As we neared a small pond next to Humanities, the sight of a wooden bench under a blooming cherry blossom tree caught my eye. I gently took his hand, leading him over to the bench. Let's sit for a moment. Alex followed without protest, and we settled onto the bench, the branches of the cherry blossom tree swaying softly above us. Pink petals drifted down like snowflakes. adding to the enchanting atmosphere. You know, I said, turning to face him, I never imagined feeling this way. Coming out to everyone, being with you, it just feels right. Alex's expression softened, making my heart skip a beat.
I feel the same way, Lucas. It's like everything makes sense when I'm with you.
He reached out, his fingers lightly brushing against my cheek. The touch sent a shiver down my spine, and I leaned into his hand, closing my eyes for a brief moment to savor the warmth and tenderness. The touch sent a shiver down my spine, and I leaned into his hand, closing my eyes for a brief moment to savor the warmth and tenderness. When I opened my eyes, Alex was watching me with a look of pure adoration. "There's something I've been wanting to tell you," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the gentle rustle of the leaves. My heart pounded in my chest as I met his gaze. "What is it?" He took a deep breath, his fingers intertwined with mine. "I like you, Lucas." For a moment, I was speechless, the weight of his words settling over me like a warm blanket. Then, a smile spread across my face, and I squeezed his hand. "I like you too, Alex." His eyes sparkled with unshed tears, and he leaned in, closing the distance between us. Our lips met in a tender kiss, soft and sweet, filled with all the emotions we had been holding back. "I think I'm becoming spoiled," Alex murmured, his breath warm against my lips. I nodded, my heart swelling with love and gratitude. "I know. That's the plan." Conclusion. I got reprimanded for my constant PDA with Alex. Did I tone it down a bit? Yes. Did I take any opportunity to annoy Coach Gary with it? Also yes. Terry continued to play as a substitute. I had no issues with him. It was probably his internalized aggression to his mother that spilled out to me.
The end. Do you think society's rules are fair to members of the LGBTQ community? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force and to stay wholesome.